Oh, hey, what's up? This is Jennifer Wai. I'm welcoming you to my first ever podcast. This is the Self-Consciousness Podcast. And I am sitting in my closet with all of the clothes I used to wear, like hanging over my head. Clothes that I will never wear again. I want to thank you for listening to my attempt at joining this years-old trend. Late to the party. But I thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you will stay a loyal listener. And I hope that the sound is working, and blah-de-blah-de-blah, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, thank you so much. It's awesome to be here. Okay. So my name is Jennifer Wai. I am an intuitive consultant. If you are not familiar with my work, I am essentially what you would think of as, in today's terms, a psychic life coach. But I don't use the word psychic, and I don't use the word coach because I am not training anybody to win any fucking thing at all. One of the things you're going to hear me talk about a lot is the fact that I hate the language surrounding the New Age spirituality movement. So a lot of what I talk about is going to be about finding new language for these old fucking terms that don't do anybody any good. So yes, I work with my psychic abilities to help people unlock certain aspects of themselves that have not. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there because this is what you're going to hear a lot. The reason I'm calling this the Self-Consciousness Podcast is for obvious reasons, but a huge part of my life has been living in a world of being self-conscious. Conscious of how people see me, conscious of how people hear me, conscious of what kind of impact I'm having, conscious about what people like. So it's always difficult for me to create things like this because I am so self-conscious and, yeah, insecure. And if you're a woman, let me just say, if you're a woman living in 2020, oh my God, we're in 2021, aren't we? You're going to have some insecurity to deal with, as well as any people of color or people of different gender orientations and sexualities. I already don't like where this is going. Anyway, it's perfectly apt that I'm sitting in my closet right now amongst the different skins that I tried on in my identity and what I was putting out there. So this consciousness, this self-consciousness is about kind of what we project to the world, and it's also going to be a little bit about how we feel about ourselves and how we feel about that. So this makes no sense. I am actually truly rambling because I have nothing prepared. I actually wanted to talk about connection today, but then yesterday happened, which we all knew was coming. I mean, let's be honest. So thankfully, I have a good friend of mine who has helped me really get to this place where I decided to even do my own podcast. Because I don't listen to podcasts and he does, and I totally need his expertise, and he's hella funny, and he's one of my best friends, and I wouldn't know where I would be without him. And his name is Germaine Jenkins. So he will be joining me later in the podcast. But a big thing about what I want to cover is I really want to break away what people think of as spirituality, and I really want to bring just like a different perspective to it, because I feel like it's just like so much shit out there. Like, how are you gonna discover yourself when there's all these voices out there that are really programmed to make you feel like shit? Um, it's programming to make you give your power up. So this is really going to be about listening to yourself and figuring out who that self is apart from all the noise around you. So that's going to be a big part of this. Truth is, I actually there is one podcast I listen to, and that's Song Exploder. Uh, so you can thank Song Exploder for the horrible music in this podcast because I made it myself on GarageBand because I was convinced that I could probably do it. Because I don't know, I'm listening to all these musicians break apart their songs. I'm like, fuck it, I can make a song too. So yeah, so you can thank Song Exploder for the theme song to this podcast, which my son said was pretty bad. Though he did have the wherewithal to ask me what kind of music I was going for, what kind of sound I want, what kind of feel I wanted for this podcast. And the truth is, I was like, I just want grooves in the heart. That's like basically, that is this. That is me. That is what I want. It's the 90s. I don't care. Yeah, so I've come to full acceptance of my absolute love of that song. Took a while, regardless of how many times my husband has made fun of me. Thankfully, Germaine, who I will be calling Dupree because that is his middle name, and yes, he is aware. He is aware. So Dupree loves D-Light, and he, I'm sure, has plenty to say about it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we're recording.
All right.
So one of the things that
Mhm.
I decided to like change the subject.
Yeah.
It's basically about like if I think about it, I've been self-conscious my whole life.
Hmm.
Like conscious of what people think of me, what I look like, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I realized, and so I'm sitting in my closet right now.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to welcome Jermaine Jenkins to the podcast. Here he is, the man himself.
Hey, hello everyone. Hey, Jen.
But like I was just telling him that I am sitting in my closet, and I'm like pushing like sweaters away from my face. They're like hanging up my nose, and that makes no sense. But they're basically like hanging over my head, and I'm like, oh, isn't this interesting? These are like my old skins. These are like all the clothes that I'll never wear again, and these are like images that I had to project to the world for so long
Yeah.
in those places.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I wish I had a closet that I can sit in, but but I am surrounded by laundry right now, so
Oh my god, so I'm kind of the same. So you're
yeah,
you're still surrounded by those outer parts of ourselves.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like yourself, like I've also been extremely self-conscious all my life, so um,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely have some experiences to share.
Well, please go ahead. Like I feel like being self-conscious is the entry point to being an empath. So that's obviously something that we would talk about.
Hmm.
But because you can understand, for those of you who don't know what being an empath means, being an empath means you can feel everything around you, including the emotions of people that you're in close proximity to. Not to mention the universe's energy. But
Hmm.
that's another story. Anyway, go ahead.
Well,
I'm not flying the plane today. I
uh,
am like we're on a joyride right now.
yeah,
There is no destination to this plane trip. I am right now stealing from Jermaine. I'm calling you Dupree because I can't.
yeah, no, it's
That's
fine.
but
No, it's totally fine. Like I told you, just call me whatever you're used to. Uh, and for those who do not know me, which would be everyone right now, Jermaine is my first name. Dupree is my middle name. I was not named after the producer. I was born before he was famous, but yeah, for years I've gone by Dupree, and I've just recently decided to go by Jermaine, to go back to when I to go back to a time where I was kind of not as self-conscious and willing to do stuff and experiment and fuck up, um, which stopped happening once I started to identify with being Dupree in the corporate world.
Yeah.
So that's what that's about.
Yeah. Wow. Perfect intro to the subject today.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're so
uh,
welcome.
but to start, I mean, my experience with being self-conscious it's always been a thing for me because I've always been a big guy. I'm still a big guy. Um, but when I was younger, I was just not comfortable at all with my body, and a lot of my life, I've had some bullying experiences, and I've been bullied. I've bullied. Um, but yeah, but other people were very quick to point out, the issues with my body, which I immediately took on. So
Yeah.
I basically grew up being a one of the big kids, fat kids that are always pulling at their shirts, trying to like not let it settle in on their man boobs.
Oh
Uh,
God.
and I've stretched out so many shirts doing that. So but that was my life growing up, and it just just being self conscious, being anxious. You know, looking outside, like before actually leaving the house, looking outside to see who's there before I actually go out and go to school, just because I was really not, really did not like my body.
Yeah.
But but eventually that changed. Now I
How
love
did
it.
it change?
How did it change?
Mm.
It took growing up. I mean, first it took losing some weight, um, then gaining it back, and then um, going out into the world. Like after high school and meeting people who liked bigger guys.
Yeah.
And finally being shown that my body was desirable, and like there's whole communities dedicated to it and nicknames, and then
Yeah.
eventually I just got into my 20s and 30s and stopped giving a shit. Um, but yeah, I think it's just growing up in age.
Yeah. I mean, just wait till you get to your 40s.
Well,
It's gonna
yeah,
be.
that is happening now. Yeah, I turned 40 this year, so and I'm already experiencing
Oh God, that's
change.
right. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh.
but
It's gonna be a big year, a big birthday. There's gonna be a
ah,
crazy celebration.
I don't know. I mean, with everything going on, it may just be postponed. I'm not one to. First of all, Jen knows I have two birthdays. But I'm only going to talk about one right now,
That's right.
which is my real one is in
The legal
April.
one.
The legal one is in April, and but even that, like, I don't mind celebrating later on in the year where things are just safer because I rather if it's going to be I don't know if I want to do a Zoom thing or anything like that. If it's going to be big, I,
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't even thought about it until this moment. But
Good. Well, I'm glad I can like start getting the ball rolling. Speaking of ball rolling, I was thinking like everyone could get into one of those big blow up balls, those big like bubbles,
yeah, those are awesome.
and we could like find a hill,
I mean,
just
I'm going to say
smash
no
into each other.
to. So okay, the hill that does sound awesome. I've seen that. And there was somebody held a concert where everyone was in a bubble.
Really?
Who was it? Was it okay? So Erica Badu did a song with a group, the
Flaming lips.
Flaming Lips. Yes.
I love it.
They- they did a concert and
We could
everybody
always
was in a
start a
bubble.
band called the Flaming Tongues, though. I think
Flaming
that would
Tongues.
be.
That is no, that's a good name. I'm pretty sure it's taken. That feels very.
I don't know.
I don't know. That feels like very poetic, like rapperish. Like there's a. I feel like there's an underground group called Flaming Tongues, or there should be, but but, but we can still try.
We can.
But
It's always
going
about
back
trying.
to being self-conscious, like what has been your experience with it?
Samesies.
Samesies.
Well, when you, I think I became very aware of what my appearance, how it affected other people very
Hmm.
early on. I think many people can kind of relate to that because people sort of take your appearance as a statement
Yeah.
that they then will interpret or get sort of have a reaction from. So for me, my whole experience was very much like and for anyone who doesn't know, I have bright red hair, bright curly big froey, we like to call it the Jew fro.
And
Although
it's
I feel
beautiful.
like that's offensive though. Like I don't know. It's a Eastern European fuzzy hair. And North African. Anyway, it was for the older people in my world, beautiful and like thing worthy of praise. But when it came to any kids or anyone around me, I was called Medusa. So that was a great
Oh.
start to my introduction to not being considered acceptably beautiful.
Oh.
And I realized as an older adult that that's really kind of all I wanted to be. So for me, it was very much based on my appearance, and I was always very aware of the teasing. I mean, the teasing was everything. Like, yeah. So Medusa kids would literally freeze in the playground, and it's weird because
Oh.
whenever I tell people that story, they're like, "Wow, those kids really knew their mythology." I was like, "That's what you're getting from this? Thank you." That's not what I was thinking.
No.
Yeah, no, but I got like bullied. I remembered like some girl like throwing me up against a fence when I was like 6.
Oh.
But I was also very sensitive, and I also, God bless her, my older sister was, a little bit of a brute with me.
Mhm.
So I was a baby. I would cry all the time, and I didn't quite understand that uh I was a worthy human being for a very long time because everything was external. And I think when you're a kid, this is my theory about it. When you're a
Mhm.
kid, your physical senses are on high. It's kind of like if you're recording audio and it goes into like the red zone. It's like
Mhm.
your physical senses are brand new, so they're really powerful. And you remember being a little kid, right, and sitting in a classroom, and like let's say your teacher had a wart or a mole or like some weird clothes on, everyone would be like, oh my god, because you have
Yeah.
this like perspective of really and like you're really seeing everything, like you know what I mean. And as you get older, your
Yeah.
eyesight gets worse and you're kind of like, oh, I don't even care, because you're
Exactly.
developing these other senses. But so as a kid, like everyone picks everyone else apart because of, I feel like, those crazy senses. And it's all about looking externally, so it's very difficult to get a grasp of, like, for me it was very difficult to grasp who I was.
Mhm.
um and I developed that personality, and this is kind of how I see ego. It's like my ego developed by taking parts of what I found acceptable um, in the eyes of everyone around me. So I built
Yeah.
this kind of fucked up, retarded. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that word. Please erase
Oh.
whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it in because it was the 80s and this was like how anyway, horrible. We'll never, okay, I take it back.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll edit that
Okay. No.
out. Jesus, you're like,
I don't know.
um, so
Yeah.
bad.
You,
That's
you
gonna
should
happen
edit it.
again. I mean, I definitely, you know,
I think you should edit it, but then leave in us talk
I
about
agree. I agree.
it.
So
Talking
another
about
thing
it.
about me and another thing about me and Dupree is our safe word. We have a
It's,
safe word for subjects we simply will not discuss on this podcast,
that safe
and our
word
safe
is
word is
safe word.
safe word.
Is
Descriptive.
yes.
It's effective. That should have been a safe word. Anyway,
Right?
and
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 it's
I
ours.
don't mean to make you be like keeping me in check all the time. So I did listen to that part of your voice message.
Oh, no.
I will also have to learn to keep myself in check. Anyway, so that was my experience with being self-conscious. I don't
Yeah.
really know if that was effective at describing my experience, but no, it sucked. I mean,
No,
I
yeah.
was fully self-conscious. I mean, you were talking about pulling out your shirt all the time. I mean, that was
Yeah.
me with like my stomach, and I was definitely overweight. And I remember being on a school bus, getting on the school bus in junior high and sitting
Mhm.
down on one side, and all the fucking
Ah,
asshole fucking ass like bros in the back like threw
yeah.
themselves to that side of the bus,
Oh
making it look like
fuck.
I was weighing it down. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
harsh.
that's a bad one. Yeah.
Well, I will share a bad one as well.
Yeah, let's
Um,
do it.
it's I think the most embarrassing, uh, it was never anything physical. But so there's this girl who later on. So okay, I'm sorry. I know I'm jumping around. One thing I want to say: a lot of people that
Jump
I
around.
were that I either were bullied by or I bullied. Um, Later on, we became friends and became cool. And this is a case where this girl, she was really good at. They called it back in the day snapping.
Mm,
Um,
I
I
know.
forgot other names for it, but
Yeah.
basically, she would say something about, you, your parents, or your mom, and she was just really good at it. And unfortunately, one day I got caught in her wrath, and and I don't know what I said to her, but what she said to me in front of, like, I think we were in like third grade, so it was like third graders, fourth graders, and fifth graders. The whole, everybody. She said, "I will hit you so hard, I'll make you lose weight." And I was
Ugh.
so embarrassed,
Oh god.
so embarrassed. I don't remember it lasting that long though, the embarrassment, but I think that was the first time I had ever been like talked that my weight had been talked about
Oh,
negatively.
yeah.
But it didn't traumatize me. Like I said, later on, she and I became cool. Um,
What did she say about it?
we never talked about it.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was just like,
Oh.
like in the fifth grade, I changed schools, and then I think we later met, and like one of like I did like a part time job at like the post office, and she was there too.
You did?
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. It wasn't even. I can't say it was at the post office. It was. Let me describe it real quick. Sorry, everybody, but
Post office adjacent?
yeah, um, yeah. Basically, because what first of all, it was a night job, so I would work my regular job around 6 o'clock. I would go there until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And what we did was is we would get scans of mail, like addresses that the system couldn't decipher. So maybe it was too sloppy, or there was something missing, and so we would have to look at it and we would push in codes that would send it to the right post office in the right city. Um, and that's all we did, like image after image, for several hours.
Oy.
I did it for 2 weeks because that's all I could take. Um, and it's not like you couldn't take a lot of breaks, but you could eat, you could listen to music, but you just had to be on there for several hours before you could take a break. And I just hated it.
Oh god.
Anyway, why did I
Well,
go into
I
that?
don't know, but I
Oh, that's
loved
where she
it,
was.
and I
That's,
kinda wanna know what your salary was.
I don't remember. Like I don't.
Like, people don't understand what minimum wage used to be. It was like
Oh, exactly,
$8, $6.
exactly.
God.
It was definitely minimum wage. I just don't. I just remember it was enough to for gas and like fixing my car. Going back to being self conscious. Um, Yeah, so like back then, like you mentioned, when you were younger, crying a lot. I did as
Oh
well,
god, yeah.
um, just because I had anger issues and I didn't know what to do with all this anger. And back then, I think after I want to believe after I was embarrassed by being told that someone would hit me so hard they would make me lose weight. I think after that, something turned on in me where I can argue and I can verbally get at you, before I need to get physical. So I think I maybe have to thank her for turning on my, um, I don't even know what to call it, just the ability for me to,
Self-preservation.
yeah, for me to stand up for myself.
Yeah.
Oh, can I tell you? Okay, I have, I have a lot of cases of bullying, and I'll even talk about one where I was a bully.
Ooh, so that is what karma is.
Yeah,
We're
um,
experiencing both sides.
exactly. But my bullying happened after I was bullied.
Oof.
But the first time I was bullied was in preschool. There was these two dudes. I remember one being he was mixed, like black and Asian. Like I think he was black and Asian.
Mm.
and his sidekick was Italian. I don't know why I remember that, but I just do.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even remember their names. I just remember that. But anyway, so for like a straight year, I was bullied by them and just had all. I don't remember what they would say to me, but they just really just made my life hell. And at the end of the year where I was about to go to kindergarten, I saw my mom coming. She was coming up to the yard to get me, and I yelled over to her like, "Just 1 second, ma." And I went and I found those two dudes, and I punched the one dude, the leader. I punched him in his face, and then I slowly walked back to my mom as him and a teacher ran by with his nose bleeding. It was
Oh.
so. I mean, it sounds horrible. I'm not promoting violence. I'm just talking about an experience and how it made me feel. Um, back then it was a different time. Back then, my mom raised me that if anybody like I can say what I people can say what they want to say, but if they put their hands on me, then I
Yeah.
need to defend myself, right?
See,
Even
I
though,
think that's beautiful.
yeah, I do
I
too.
think that's necessary. And I
But
love that you got that message growing up. I
yeah,
feel like I got the exact opposite because it was very much, and maybe this has to do with being a boy and a girl.
hmm
Like, I think for me, it was very much like, I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. Um, I don't want to, I think like I believed them so deeply that I
hmm
really didn't think I had anything to stand up for. And also, my sister bullied me the whole time childhood anyway. So I was like, you know, I
yeah,
don't know where I got that. I never was able to stand up for myself ever.
yeah.
Although when
Oh,
the few attempts I tried to, and I'll just do this quickly, but like the few attempts I tried to stick up for myself, it was completely misdirected and backfired. So I was like, I
oh,
will never do that again. Because I was like, in elementary school, we had an assembly. Remember those?
yeah.
And there was all like the pull-out chair or like the folding chairs. So I went to go sit down after we said the Pledge of Allegiance, and the kid behind me, who was older, pulled the chair out from under me, and I
Oh,
landed on my ass, my tailbone.
oh
Everyone
no.
laughed, and I just felt like I wanted to go die. So,
Oh,
the next week we had another assembly, and I, for some reason, decided it would be a fun idea or like a good idea to pick some random unsuspecting kid in front of me and do the same thing. So I do the same thing after we go to sit down after the Pledge of Allegiance, and he falls on his butt, starts crying, and then I got in
oh,
trouble.
oh, shit.
So I was like, yeah, so it doesn't work when I do it. That was literally the story that I took from it. Although
Yeah.
at this point, it's a it's a different story now. But yeah, I
Oh,
mean, also because like I understood that I wasn't directing the anger right back where it came from. I directed it into some other poor child who's
yeah.
now messed up because of it, or probably not because everyone came to his rescue, unlike for me. But
Oh.
meh.
When I was younger, I went to a school, like a summer program that was connected to my mom's job. She was a worked in a daycare center, and so I went to their preteen, I guess, program, and it was a small class, and it was maybe about it was 6 boys and like 4 girls, so it's 10 of us. But there was a kid there who had one more year before he qualified to be like a counselor for the program, so he was like 14, and his name was John. I wish I remembered his last name because I would say it. Um, but in this situation, he basically ruled over the rest of the guys, and I think I was maybe one of the youngest. So my choice was either to do whatever they're doing or sit off in the corner by myself. So I just sat around them, and a buddy of mine joined the program, and he was really into GI Joes, and this became our summer thing. And that summer thing was Bobby and John would play with his bag of GI Joes, and if everyone else didn't piss John off that day, they would get one GI Joe to play with. But
Fuck.
if you pissed him off or if he didn't like you that day, you got nothing.
God.
Um, and I just remember thinking like, this is just so crazy.
Unchecked male aggression.
It
Ding,
was
ding,
so
ding.
crazy, so crazy because everyone was scared of him for some reason. I wasn't scared of him. I didn't understand what was going on. Um, I don't even remember what age I was, but I just remember thinking like, okay, like I just don't want to sit by myself because I just want to be a part of a group. Whatever you guys do, I'll do. But like, there was one time when I guess everybody had pissed him off, and he was going to deal out punches, so people had to stand in line for their punch. And the
What?
dude that was right below John in age, if John was 14, this dude had to be 13, was like crying before John even hit him. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm not scared of this dude, and I'm not about to cry like the rest of these guys. So I let him hit me, and if I felt nothing because I think I was just so full of adrenaline or whatever. Um, and then it got even deeper than that. Like my mom got involved at one point just because John had lied and said that I was talking about the teacher or whatever she was. And then she was unprofessional and came at me like I was an adult. So
Oof.
I had to tell my mom, and then my mom had to get at her. And eventually I just, left the program. But it was a fucking crazy experience. Like it didn't affect me. I didn't hold on to it after that. It's just one of those experiences where I can't believe that I went through that. It just didn't make sense. Like it was, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm
Yeah.
saying there, but
No, it's okay.
um
No. I mean, just the fact that like someone can feel so innate, like so entitled to exert their fucking power over people, especially kids,
yeah.
or kids who are younger. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big part of what bullies do. I mean, I think just explaining this same kind of thing to my kids, it's like usually the person who is bullying you is being bullied somehow. And most of the time it's coming from home.
Yeah.
They might be bullied from their dad or, most likely, but I don't know. I'm a
Yeah.
pretty good bully when it comes to my kids. I like to represent for the moms. But
Excuse
it's
me.
just this kind of reactive. But in a way, I kind of want to talk about something else, though. I kind of want to
Hmm.
bring this to, you know, we feel we're self conscious, right?
Hmm.
Because we have been brought up to respond to the outside world as we see it. And we feel like, and a lot of the things in the outside world tend to take our power away, especially
Yeah.
these kinds of characters in our lives, right? So,
Hmm.
like, if these kind of characters are just taking our power away and we're not really learning how to stand up, as we grow and as we get older, it's going to impact us in different ways. But we're also living in a time where, most people don't really take the time to kind of look inside, right?
Hmm.
So, there's all these terms about it nowadays where it's like, oh, self-care and blah blah and like wellness and mental health and meditation apps and whatever. Like it's popular now to start to look within, but we have gone unchecked for so long, and
Hmm.
people are only responding to outside things or what they're being told or what they're being, or what they see outside of them, and they're believing it. And then we have a culmination of that kind of shit, which is like what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the thing we
Yes.
haven't even like talked. I mean, it's like the culmination of people looking outside of themselves and assuming that that's where the power lies, and I'm going to strong arm somebody
Yeah. And
to
just
like,
to
yeah,
just to interject, like to say what happened yesterday,
yeah,
was just the storming of the
yeah,
Capitol
fucking
by Trump
white people.
supporters.
Let's be quite honest here.
Yeah, there was a black person there too.
Oh, please.
Um, like I can't.
I know.
We can
Trying
get
to be
into that.
fair. Let's be fair.
Yeah,
They
most
didn't only not shoot the white people, but they also not shot the one black guy.
I know. It's just enraging. Like I was late
God,
to. I'm so sorry. You were making a point and I
no.
cut you off.
Hey,
Did you remember your point?
do it.
Okay. No, just to like I was late to the game yesterday.
Yeah.
'Cause I did a lot of napping and sleeping and being lazy, and then
Yeah.
I woke up and then just like just the news just happened to be on. I'm like, what the fuck happened while I was sleeping? But it was just crazy because and they made a point this to show like when the peaceful protesters were protesting, just the killing of black men and women across
Yeah.
the U.S. How they were treated and gassed and
Oh God.
the violence that they received, and here is like. they just walked in, and I just saw a picture today of a cop helping a protester down the step.
Yep.
Not even protesters, rioters, because that's, I think, MSNBC. I think that's when they said protester, and they said no, these are rioters.
These are rioters. These are
But
fucking like
yeah.
people trying to overthrow shit, but like only in America, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so like everyone's like talking about how, oh, like, but this doesn't happen here. This happens in other countries. In other countries, there'd be more than 4 people dead. In our
Yeah.
country, because we're such fucks, they're fucking taking selfies with like, it's like a bunch of tourists, they're like, it was a big ride for them.
Yeah.
There's like only can America do a coup like that. you know like in other countries it's like serious and they're suffering, and these people are like just strutting around like it's a big celebration, like it's a big fucking party,
Yeah.
because other cops, like other white people let us in.
So
Great
crazy,
job,
man.
guys. Like you did so much work like busting it down. Because they
Exactly.
literally like opened the gates for them. I mean, I think since I started watching it, I was like, they're in on us. Like this is not. I mean, this is just white, and and as I was watching it, because I actually let my kids listen to. We were listening to NPR, but I
Hmm.
was flipping through. I was looking at Fox News on the computer. I was looking at Fox News. I was looking at CNN. I was looking at BBC. I was like, you guys, it's important to see how everyone is interpreting what's happening right now.
Hmm.
It's important to see like all the perspectives. And then you have to really take a step back and like think about what you believe, because
Yeah.
it's again, it's also this attempt to like take hold of the narrative. But I guess what I want to kind of say about that is like this is a result of a culture and a world that does not take time for introspection.
Hmm.
This is what happens when people are not conscious of themselves. They're not conscious of their actions. They're not conscious of their own fucking wounding, and they don't take responsibility for it. Everything has to do with what someone else has done to me. And I feel like this goes for both sides,
Hmm.
because I think we're also going to see people on the left do the same kind of thing, like, can you believe? It's like, yeah, I mean, it's not a fucking surprise. Like this has been in the making for so long. I'm just surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Yeah.
But for me, this is a crisis of consciousness. Like
Hmm.
this is a crisis of people literally just believing everything they're seeing and hearing, and you can hear it when they interview some of those rioters. Like,
Yeah.
like, are you proud of what you're doing? Well, yeah, well, yeah, we're so, it's like, are you sure about that? Like the way they're responding, it seems very, like, let me wait, hold on, let me check my phone, let me read the script. It's like, well, why don't you think for yourself, maybe? I don't know. That's just my,
But
sorry. That was, let me take a breath. God bless you, mom. My mother, God rest her soul.
Hmm.
I never say shit like that, but my mother would always say to me, Jen, take a breath. Just take a breath.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hand it over. I'm gonna hand over the the
Oh,
flight controls over to Dupree for a second.
oh no. Oh. No. I
That was
mean,
my rant. Sorry.
no, no, it was a good rant. It was needed. But no, I totally agreed with you. But I think, you know, just to and just to give the example of when I became a bully,
Oh yeah.
you know, it like I said, it happened for a day. It was for some reason, when you're in like seventh and eighth grade, maybe you've experienced this, where a group may just turn on someone for no reason, or like there was
Oh yeah.
this
Like the
this
designated one that everyone hates that week.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so that happened a lot in the seventh grade, and I never thought I would take part in bullying somebody, but it was just one dude. For some reason, just that day, he just became annoying to all of us. And I will, I think because my boys were, amped up and wanting to fight him, like I kind of just joined on to that energy, which is what a lot of people were doing when they rioted. and
Yeah.
went into the Capitol. I mean, it's,
Absolutely.
the pack mentality or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the experience, and like, he and I almost fought, and
What did
then
you
everything
do?
calmed
What did
down.
you say?
I don't even remember. I mean, I think I don't remember. But I do
You know why
remember
you don't remember?
why.
Because you were impacted by that mentality of, like, the wave of whatever you were on or surrounded by.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
almost
think
like your
yeah, it was
brain turned off.
exactly. But it was whatever it was. It was stupid. It was made up. Um, this guy who was getting it that day, he and I had actually been bullied, like maybe 2 grades earlier, where I experienced a lot of bullying in the 5th grade, and I was in a
Yeah.
lot of fights because at that point I had started to defend myself physically as well as verbally. But so he and I were on the same side at one point. But we went through that, and then the next week we're all fine. Um, he's a cool dude. I've spoken to him in our adult life too. So it was an experience.
Yeah. Well, what would you say to, like, so it's like this is the world we grew up in, right? This
Mhm.
is the world that, you know, we all know this shit is changing. The way that, just even the fact that bullying is so, it's such an issue. It's such a hashtag issue lately in schools. Like, they have, like, bullying departments because of,
Wow.
because of kids killing themselves and social media and all of that stuff. Bullying has been taken so seriously now.
Hmm.
Whereas in the past, like, people from our generation, this was just what happened. This is just the way it was.
Yeah.
And, like, we see the culmination of that kind of behavior in the kind of things that we saw yesterday. But it's like, how do we let's say, to, like, a younger person, you know w- what does it take for them to, either when they see that kind of thing, or they experience that kind of thing, or something they don't agree with, or something that kind of triggers them, or something that just straight up, like, victimizes them, like, how do we find a way to get through that where we're not hurting each other?
you know,
You have to answer this. This is all up to
I,
you, Avery. You are the one who's gonna solve the whole problem.
I am not. I am going to cause an issue. Because I don't know. Like, first I don't have kids.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I did have kids, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, the way I feel is that if you if you say some shit to me, I'm going to say some shit to you. If you
Yeah.
put your hands on me, I'm going to put my hands on you. So, and I know that is not the right way to respond to bullying right now, because it, there is a better way.
Well, what do you think the right way is?
I mean, how can you really get somebody to the point where they learn to not give a shit about what people think about them? I mean, I
That's the
think maybe
question.
it just starts, when and at home with with the parents,
Yeah.
just supporting your kids, and saying, and teaching them that the body they're in, the way they sound, the way they feel, that it's normal, it's loved, it's wanted. Um, so they can get to the point where if somebody said something negative about them, they don't give a shit. But I don't know how to get there. I don't know how to do
Yeah.
that. Because, like, I'm very much still like, if you put your hands on me, I'm going to put my hands on you.
Yeah.
So let's not even
Ew.
go
No.
there.
Just
Um,
kidding.
but
That sounds nice.
I know, right? Um, but, like, like, I've always, I mean, luckily, I'm also an adult now, where I know that putting my hands on someone else can, drastically change my life by taking away my freedom if that something happens to that person.
Of
So,
course.
you know,
Have you had issues as an adult where you did get into, like, a physical altercation with somebody?
um, n- no, but I mean, there was one time in my late 20s where I did get to the point where if the person was in the same state as me, I would have, we would have come to blows.
Oh,
But because I hated that person so much, and
yeah,
the shit that they did,
yeah,
I got so angry that if he wasn't in the same state, I would have driven to him,
yeah.
which is bad because people do that. And people, I'm just, oh shit,
That's what,
I just,
oh my God.
people have done that, and people have died.
Yeah,
So
that's a
never,
bad idea.
bad idea. So this is where the universe and God worked for me,
Yeah.
because we were in separate states. So I just said, wow, I just realized
I can't
just
believe
now
this.
today.
But
But
it's
anyway,
like the fact that someone would do that,
yeah.
and this kind of, like, what I will say is my perspective of good and versus evil, because I don't believe in either or.
Hmm.
But I feel like we have been programmed for this story. Like, we love our programs. Us
Yeah.
humans, we love our stories, we love our mythology, we love our programs. But, like, because we want to be able to understand shit, so we need to have these rules, and we listened to a lot of rules for 2000 years, and now that's all falling away. But anyway,
Hmm.
the point is, you know, good and evil to me is, essentially, it can be broken down to, again, everyone is good or bad, everyone is both, but it's a matter of whether you are self-serving entirely or that you serve others.
Hmm.
And that, to me, is the difference, and that's the polarity that we base all this other shit around. Now, everybody has the capacity to be both at different times. Like, we're all self-serving at times, and we're all,
Hmm.
serving others at other times. But the goal here is to ultimately come to a place of compassion and communication with other people, where we
Yeah.
are thinking about something outside of ourselves, but in a conscious and loving way.
Yeah.
I should play the hippie music right now. But when people who we see as evil, those are people who have completely turned everything inward, in terms of, like, they only serve themselves. Everything that they interact with, everything they do on the outside, is to ultimately only benefit and serve themselves. And to
Yeah.
me, that's my personal definition of evil, and that person sounds like a fucking evil person. We're coming up on an hour.
All right.
All right.
I hope
What else should we talk about?
well, I did listen to the podcast. Um what was
Oh,
the
Jessa?
just
Jessa Reed?
just a read, right? Yeah. So I did listen to it, right? And I identified with some stuff.
Yeah.
So when she was talking about, I think oh, let me see. When she was talking about how, like, you work through something, and you get to a high where, like, let me go back to it. What was it? It's like
Dead
you reach
air,
a
dead
goal.
air, dead
I
air.
know,
No, I'm
dead
just
air.
kidding.
Edit this out. It's because I'm trying to remember what she said, and what it was like. Because it's exactly what I've gone through. Like, for instance, I recently lost my job. But it was something that was expecting, um, was praying for, and it happened. And it worked out exactly how I wanted it to. But it was still hard.
Yeah.
So I went through a low, and then I got I think she was talking about the ego. She was talking about how you are like the writer and your ego is the actor, and
Oh,
how,
yeah. Yeah.
right,
This
and
is
how not.
Jessa Reed's podcast, everybody. We're probably going to be referring to it a lot. She makes me insecure because I just want to be her, and I won't be. But her podcast is called Awakening Orientation Department. Go ahead.
Yes. um and so she was talking about the ego, and how the ego is kind of just there. You give it direction, and it takes it from there, but it shouldn't become you.
Yeah.
um so it was around that conversation, and she was saying, like, how you have a low, you're working on it mentally, to reach a goal. And for me, that was me, leaving this one company, and deciding to venture into this new avenue, and doing, which was voiceovers, or is voiceovers. um and it's me like,
Doesn't he have a
t-
great voice, everybody?
oh stop, no, no.
Yeah.
But thank you. Oh, but so I reached a goal where I signed up for an intro to acting class, and I felt I was on a high.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're on this high, and you feel great, and then all of a sudden, somebody comes or something happens, and it knocks you down, and all of a sudden you forget, the greatness that you were, and then you try to work back up to it, and how
Yeah.
that's all normal and it's going to happen, and you accept it. Um, that I identify with because that's exactly what I was going through and what I continue to go through with my high, of signing up for the class and then, feeling like, oh, I need to do more, but not really. But okay, so where am I, feeling lost and then doing my first recording and feeling, on getting on a high and then, not really getting any feedback from that first recording and being like on a low again. So like
Yeah.
that I identified with, even though I'm not, you know, the reason why I haven't gotten feedback is because my brother is just very busy. I did a recording for his company,
Yeah.
or his entertainment company. So hopefully they can use it and there'll be more projects coming soon.
Yeah.
Um, but but yeah, I
It's
identified with
fucking
that.
huge, though, by the way. I mean, like, congratulations. You got to
Oh, thank
celebrate
you.
that.
I do.
Yeah.
I definitely am celebrating it. It's not a paid thing, and I'm totally fine with that because I just want the experience. I want the feedback.
Yeah.
And this is like building my resume. Um, just having a recording. So I'm just really excited to see the final product. Excuse me. And
The product.
product project.
We're gonna make a new word.
Oh,
We're gonna do
exactly.
a lot of that.
Yeah. Um, and so I identified with that, and then there
Sorry.
were parts where
Project.
project that
I really needed to interrupt you to make sure that I got it right.
project.
Go ahead.
Um, but I identified with what's her name again?
Jessa Reed.
Jessa.
Yeah.
Then there were parts where it's like she lost me, then she got me back,
Yeah.
and then at a certain point I was like, wow, she's really being aggressive right now. And then she said, and then she said, wow, I'm really aggressive today. And it was like, now you got me back because now I get it. So yeah, no, I definitely will be going along for that ride. And I will be honest, I listened to like I think it was 40 minutes. So I listened to the first 20 and then forgot about it. And then when you asked me if I listened to it, I just listened to the last 20 today.
Oh,
But
nice.
but I felt that that was okay because my feelings would be fresh. Even though I can't remember exactly what she said at the end. She was
That's
she was
okay. That's okay.
she mentioned
I
a
don't
part.
care about what you remember. I just care
Okay,
about what you feel.
yeah, I think I think she's hilarious
Yeah.
outside of the podcast. I mean, she's a comedian.
Yeah.
Um, and I like her delivery. Well, I mean, maybe having a less aggressive. I think she said we're going to have fun on the rest of the
Yeah.
podcast. So, like, I think I like it when she's less aggressive, and I
Yeah.
can. Uh, but I love it the fact that she totally admitted that I'm being aggressive. Like I love it.
Like
So
right when you were feeling it.
yeah. Because I mean, I think that what that says to me. Like some people don't realize how they're being and how they're making you feel,
Mm.
and that showed me as a host. Like she realized
She
where
is
she was.
conscious of
Yeah, she's
herself.
conscious of herself, and it just
Yeah.
made me further get into just what she's going to be speaking about. So,
Yeah.
um,
I sometimes feel like I am. I think I've always been plagued with this. I am overly self-conscious.
mhm,
I mean, it's not like I am also overly transparent. And I think for a long time it was it was almost like an armor to kind of protect myself where like I can make fun of myself better than you can. I'm going to beat you to the
exactly,
punch. Or I can like observe myself and then I can kind of beat myself up on my own so like you don't have to do it. And that's where I think for me humor came in for me because it I didn't have a sense of humor until I was like 13.
yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah. And I feel like it was something that just helped me feel safe. Um, and I might bring this up at some point, but I love like anything Egyptian gods, goddesses. I'm sure it's like all appropriation. I literally made my kids watch Walk Like an Egyptian, the video yesterday by the Bangles.
Oh,
They were like, this is so appropriating. I'm like, I
oh
know, isn't it
wow.
horrible? Like, can you believe like we did shit like this in the 80s? Like, what the hell? Anyway,
Yeah.
go back and listen to that song, y'all. Go watch the video and you'll be like, wow, that's
I,
horrendous.
I'm gonna have to because I did not even have that thought until
I
just
know.
now
It's
that it
it's
was.
amazing, like, I guess, being a parent, because you do want to show your kids movies you used to watch, parts of your childhood. You want to bring that to them because, and then you realize any parent listening can identify with this. You're like, I can't show them any of the shit that I used to watch because it's all offensive. Like I mean, it's all offensive. Do you remember that show that there was a movie called Soul Man?
Oh, I was just thinking about that
What the fuck?
just now. I was gonna say
Seriously?
seriously.
Oh my
I was
god.
in my head. I was listening to you, but I was
C.
like,
Thomas Howell in blackface to take advantage of affirmative action at Harvard. Is
exactly.
that what that's it in a nutshell. And it was okay. Everyone was okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they were making fun of it, but still. Yeah. We don't hear about that movie anymore, do we?
I know, not at all. No, it's
Everyone's like, we're just gonna forget about this one.
exactly.
And I mean, I can't show my kids half of the movies because it's all I mean, I am very white,
Mhm.
and you know this because I talk about this a lot, but yeah, I live in an Asian household. And we if watching a movie that's filled with white, this is why we can't watch Harry Potter.
Yeah,
This is all white people. And I
and I'm
didn't know about this as a white
yeah.
person until my husband told me like 15 years ago. He was like, I don't want to watch that movie. I'm like, why? He's like, it's just a bunch of white people. And I was like, oh,
See,
a
I've never
lot of it.
watched. I've only watched maybe one or two of the Harry Potter movies,
Yeah.
and I did not remember them.
Yeah. It's
Before
just,
everybody listening, I am Black and Native American.
yes. I'm
So
like, yes, yes.
oh, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I
We want to see ourselves reflected. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
definitely.
Like I and I my safe word is for my kids, but like I am a parent of uh pubescent children. Is that the right way to describe it? Kids in puberty.
Yeah, I
And
think
when we
so.
talk about self-conscious, I mean puberty was like it. That was the time. And and now my kids get to experience all that at home. And so
Yay.
there's this thought that keeps coming into my head like, God, if I could have gotten to experience puberty in my room without like anyone making fun of me or like any, weird feelings or like cold sweats, because that was basically all of junior high for me. I was always cold and
Hmm.
I was always sweating. That was always fun. But
Oh,
I feel like, oh, I would have been so much happier.
yeah.
But no. I mean, I think we ultimately we have to learn how to interact with people
Hmm.
in in ways where we're not killing each other or insulting one another. But going back to that bubble, we're all in this
Yeah.
we're all like in their own bubbles, and it's like if we're in these bubbles and we've got to find a way to connect with one another. That's going to be another episode. I have a whole episode planned about connection, one that I actually planned, about
Yeah.
connection and like everyone feeling disconnected and what we but I also feel like it really just starts with you have to connect with yourself because so many people are disconnected from themselves, from what
Yeah.
they think is true about themselves and what they think is true about the world. And I feel like that's the basis of whether or not you can be a conscious person.
Yeah.
I mean, we always talk about waking up, and thinking about the people yesterday, like that was a conscious choice,
Hmm.
but like their consciousness is literally, I feel like, it's funny because my kid was like, are they just stupid? I was
Exactly.
like, I don't want to say that because like I feel like that's mean, number one, but I also feel like their level of consciousness is just at a standstill. Like I feel like the whole thing about our evolution moving forward in life is going to be about conscious evolution. So taking the time to heal your shit and figure out why you are reacting the way you are and cleaning up your insides. It's really just like it's an inside job, cleaning up your insides so you're
Hmm.
not projecting your shit onto everyone else. And the truth of the matter is we're going to do that anyway, but at least we can like apologize to one another about it, or know ourselves well enough, or start getting to know ourselves well enough where we can say like, hey, here, this is kind of a sensitive spot for me. I don't want to go at it with you right now because I know that I will go off. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna let's just agree to separate for the time being. And this is also something you need to know about me. And if we start if we actually love each other, then we take that into consideration as we interact. And
Yeah.
this kind of behavior yesterday, it's like this is not the act of consciously aware and awake human beings. And they, to me, represent the other path that we are splitting off from.
Hmm.
And, I again, like, I really hesitate to say anyone is higher or better than anyone else. But when you do take that kind of shit into your own hands, I mean, thank God no one died. I think
Well,
symbolically it was just really destructive, but symbolically now you can see just like through all the social media and through like everyone's
yeah.
reactions, everyone is rushing to post an opinion about it. But like I would recommend to everyone like just stay off of that shit and like figure out how it makes you feel instead of listening to what everyone else is saying about it. I mean, right now everyone has something to say about it. Other countries have
Yeah.
something to say about it. Your mom has something to say about it.
Well,
You
I
know,
will say one thing though.
yeah.
Someone did die.
Someone did 4 people died.
Oh,
4
four
people died.
people.
Yeah, there was I mean, the one woman who got shot, and then I think,
Okay.
like, someone had, like, a heart attack. The other 3, I think, were,
Wow.
like, they had heart attacks or something.
Wow.
But
I need to get up on that. But
like, compared
so.
to who
Mhm.
died in the protests over the summer,
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
like and to compared to, like, what it could have been, I mean,
Yes.
I've always been scared of these people.
Hmm.
Large groups of white people scare me, and yes, y'all, I am very white. I'm almost see-through.
No.
But but like I also am a Jew, and experience growing up as a Jew, especially on Long Island, which surprises people. There's so much anti-Semitism on Long Island. It's like unfucking real. And I remember being yelled at as a kid and listen, for the amount of racism that everyone else experiences, this is fucking nothing. But yeah, I mean, I do have experiences of people being like, "Don't play with her. She's a Jew."
Oh
Or my mom
goodness.
having her clothes torn at school because she's a Jew, or her being asked how she hides her horns, like in all
Wow.
seriousness. I mean, like those are the kinds of things that, like I'm aware that people hate my kind.
Yeah.
If I get into a circle of those kinds of people, I can totally fit in though. Like they might not know that I'm a Jew unless they start like hearing me talk and I'm all self-deprecating and funny, then they'll be like, or if I start talking about money or
Oh no.
education, then they'll be like, Jew.
Oh.
But they all scare me. Those large groups of people, like white people, scare me because, yeah, I mean, I actually know. I mean, I think I mentioned this to you. Remember when I told you I was down in Florida visiting my dad,
Hmm.
and I was talking about Hillary Clinton. This is before Trump was elected, I think, the first time, not the second time,
Oh.
in that other split off reality. But we were talking about Hillary Clinton, and I was even saying like, yeah, I don't know, she definitely represents good things and bad things, I guess. I don't know.
Hmm.
And this guy sitting at the table next to us just leaned over and he was like, "Go to hell, you progressive piece of trash!" Like something like screaming like that. And he was like, "Make America great again."
I don't know if you told me that. Wow.
Yeah, and like my dad didn't even say anything.
Oh.
And I think he regretted it. He was in shock. We were all in shock. And my
Yeah.
and my kids were there, and I was like, oh, sorry. Did you
No,
hear that?
I did. But that's okay. So
Sorry,
maybe
everybody. I need to
uh,
quit my messages because like it comes onto my computer, but whatever.
that's all right. But we are
Ding.
at like an hour and a half,
I
so
know that was a perfect timing. That was one of my
exactly.
beloved friends texting me, who has totally been encouraging me because speaking of self-conscious, everybody, I am enormously self-conscious about this podcast, and especially about any content that I put out. And when anyone puts anything out that's creative, they always hate it. So I think that like hopefully this was not too difficult to listen to. Um, but I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let me just say
Yeah.
thank you so much for talking to me on my first podcast, Dupree. We've been talking about this for years now,
Yay.
and this is a big deal.
Thank
I
you.
hope
It
it
is a big
actually
deal.
recorded. That would be funny.
Well, it says recording on my side.
It does. It does.
Yeah, I
So
just
let's
noticed it
hope.
like 10 minutes ago.
Let's hope it's not a lie.
But yeah, no, this was fun, and I definitely look forward to appearing on others.
Yeah.
Whether it's next week, because I can definitely talk about some connections. 'Cause
Oh yeah, we're
that's,
going to be doing it next week too.
so yeah. But yeah, so
Well, thank you for joining,
thank you.
and I'll be talking to you very soon. I'm going to stop.
All
So
right. Well,
I'm
bye,
going to say it
everyone.
one more time.
Okay.
Thank you for joining, Dupree. It means
Oh.
so much to me. God damn it. Fuck. All right, I'm turning it off. Hey everybody, thank you so much for listening, and hopefully you're still with me. I really want to thank Dupree Germaine Jenkins so much for being my first guest and my ultimate inspiration for doing this whole project. I want to thank Fela of 101 Productions, who got me this amazing audio podcast set. And I want to thank you for listening. It's really cool to start doing something that feels right, and I really do hope you're still listening. And I hope you'll join me again next week, because this is going to be a weekly thing for all of 2021. And we'll get better at it. Thank you so much. I will be talking to you very soon. I want you to take care and have a